Oh, you just had your haircut, mate. It's looking pretty fresh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was I'd say about 2 hours ago. Yeah, um, it's quite sharp, to be fair. I know we like to talk about barbers a lot, but it was a bit of an emotional moment, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah, because well, obviously the barber normally cries when they cut my hair because of how good it looks after. They're like, "That mate, that's a work of art. I hate to see it grow out."
Hang on, I thought he cries because you smell like an onion.
Ugh. Brother, ugh.
Well, it could be one of two things. Um, no, but this time, so as some of the listeners may know, I'm moving house. I think I spoke about it once before when I was meant to move a month ago, but I didn't. I'm also moving towns, cities. So my last time I got a haircut, I told my barber that I was moving, and he was very emotional. But I don't think he realised that the day had come. So I'm moving tomorrow. Got my last haircut today, and because I missed the money back, so I make so much money from this podcast.
Oh yeah.
I gave him 20 quid, and because I got a hair and beard done, it was 18, right?
Wait,
And
that's so
then-
cheap, you know.
It's good. It's a good price, and it looks this fresh as well. Anyway,
It's a bit wonky,
So-
but yeah, that's fine.
and that's just my head. So anyway, he goes to give me the 2 quid back. I said, "Nah, don't worry, mate. You keep it." And then he says, "I'm not going to do a Turkish accent," but he goes, "Oh, so you're not coming back to here anymore?" It's like, "No, probably not, mate. Unfortunately, we just had a little emotional eye contact, and then the other person who was in the queue behind me kind of walked in the way, and it broke the tension. But it was a lovely emotional moment.
So- How long's this guy been cutting your hair?
I'd say about over 18 months.
Quite a while, and your final haircut, you decided to give him £2 for his trouble.
Yeah.
£2, yeah,
honest,
nice.
To be honest, I don't think he was actually sad about me leaving. I think he was probably more sad about losing a customer, losing a paying customer.
Yeah.
But we have good chats. When he cuts my hair, he asks me if I'm busy. I say yeah, a little bit, and I ask him if he's busy. He says yes. He's a hard-working man, and I'll miss that repeated conversation, the same exact same exact questions and answers for 18
3
months.
times a week.
Yeah,
Madness.
yeah. But yeah. Anyway, what's been going on in your life?
Well, a similar house moving situation. I can't remember if we covered this in a previous episode, but we are gonna rinse estate agents at some point. I think more so for fun, but the kind of contract side of things is interesting as well. The little template documents they send over to you with, some unique terms and conditions baked into them. But yeah, been viewing some houses, right? And it's an experience. It kind of shocks me how some people don't clean their house before they've got a viewing. We did go into one, and there was evidence of a dog in the garden, shall we say, on the patio, just chilling there. A few lumps of dog evidence, which was kind of off-putting.
What, they killed
And
their
then
dog
another
and
one we
then
went to.
chopped it up and buried it?
Yeah, that's it. A couple of limbs. Then the one literally straight after that, the actual sellers were in the house. So obviously you don't have to leave your house when you've got viewings, but they were just sitting there in the lounge watching TV, and the estate agent was really kind of uncomfortable, like talking about stuff in the downstairs area, because like it was quite open house, so you could hear things, and it wasn't great. It was just a bit weird, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I feel like I share the same sentiment, because looking through Rightmove and stuff, and even the people that take the pictures, I think you could clean up there. Like I saw one that just had like a load of mud trampled all over the carpet.
Yeah.
Or the person took the pictures is kind of like, oh, that's a bit of a weird one, but
Yeah, my neighbour's selling as well, and in the background of their photos on the listing, you can look into their living room and you can see her dogs outside looking into the house, like trying to get in, like wondering what's going on. And it's only a 1-bed masonette, but they're like massive, what are called, German shepherds. The 2 massive German shepherds, and it's like, oh, okay. That might put some people off, but
I thought you were going to say that when they were taking pictures, you could see you topless in the garden next door. But
well, I did offer because that would help them sell it quicker, but they turned it down, unfortunately.
fair enough.
But we are available for those services for any of you listeners out there. If you want to sell your house quick, get a topless Luke 10 or Luke 1 in the background. So you know what to do. Hit us up in our socials.
I would like the listeners to vote in who would be a better topless model just by hearing our voices. I guess you.
Oh really?
You know about our personality and you know our voices. So put a vote down. Who would be the best topless model for selling a house?
Can I have one say before we do put this poll out though? I feel like the nice is hating me, so that's one vote in your favour already.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's not your biggest fan, but yeah. I mean, with her darling son being on the podcast, the nice is my mum. For those who don't know, you're never going to take top spot.
No, but yeah. So basically, you're one up already. But we'll go for that. I reckon I can make the comeback.
So
shall we do our intro? Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Procurement, the only show you need to master the art of procurement. Let's go, baby.
The yes, you and the baby has been added for season 2. Not sure how I feel about that.
Just I've been hearing that song that says more passion, more energy, more passion, and that's kind of resonated with me quite a bit. So just trying to bring that to my everyday life, really. Even grocery shopping. You should see the smile on my face when I'm picking the ham.
No, I like that because normally we record in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And
sorry, I just realised that picking the ham isn't the best thing to say out loud, is it? But anyway, sorry, carry on.
I was trying to smooth over it. So yeah, normally we record in the afternoon, and you get that post-lunch tiredness. Whereas today I've decided not to eat before recording, so I won't get that post-lunch tiredness. So now I've got the more passion and the more energy.
Just hungry. Well, do we have anything for the old bulletin today?
I wanted to give a shout out to the Cayman Islands. Sorry, let me get this right. The Cayman Islands mixed touch rugby World Cup squad for 2024. It's touch rugby, and the World Cup is on as I speak. The Cayman Islands have a team of mixed players, so men and women in the same team, So I was just walking out my house the other day, and literally about 5-10 minutes down the road, there were loads of signs saying Touch Rugby World Cup. So because I'm nosy, I literally just went in to have a browse, basically, and I saw the Cayman Islands have entered the team. Well, their team has got to the World Cup, big competition, the biggest competition of touch rugby, and for some reason it's been being played about 10 minutes from my house at the moment. So hope you do well.
That's a great opportunity for you to go and kind of spread the pod into the rugby world, or touch rugby world. I'm guessing, I don't want to make assumptions, but I'm guessing that's like rugby for wimps. Touch rugby. We won't tackle you. We'll just kind of tap you on the shoulder to say, "Oh, that's a tackle." Is it that sort of thing?
It's not without its physicality. There are strong players and there are Yeah,
But they
there's
can
a lot
touch
of
really hard.
paciness.
Scary.
But I'm not sure. Obviously, it's less physical than rugby union or rugby league, but yeah, I don't know what kind of attributes would you have to be a good touch rugby player? Long arms?
Big hands. I guess you have to have quick reaction so you can touch fast.
Also, sorry, on a tangent. Now we're taking the piss out of it. The governing body of touch rugby is called the Federation of International Touch,
Oh, fit.
which I think they could have come up with a better.
Yeah, I like that. I actually quite like that. Fit. Federation of International Touch.
You've got all the national teams, like England touch rugby team is just called England Touch.
Brilliant.
So yeah. Anyway, hope the Cayman Islands do well. That's all I wanted to say. Go
That's the
Caymans.
bulletin. Anything for the listeners, or just gonna shout out a rugby touch team?
Yeah, no, I care more about a touch rugby team than I care about the listeners. So.
Damn!
Oh, one of the listeners is your mum, so that says a lot about you. Right.
To be fair, I think she's tuned out by now.
I thought it was sleep music. Right. I'm actually really excited for today's episode, if you couldn't tell by the kind of 45-minute preamble we've just done. Why am I excited? Well, as you know, we've had a few guests on the pod before, and for us to be able to get guests onto the podcast, we kind of have to be a bit friendly and schmoozy, and they have to have some sort of interest in, helping the listeners learn a little bit about what they do and kind of talk into a procurement world, which is great. However, this time, I wanted to go underground a little bit. What do you mean by underground, Luke? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, I thought I would put a Reddit post out there into the project management world, because I wanted to get some anonymous feedback on procurement and how project managers see procurement without actually knowing actually knowing Luke 1 and Luke 10. So they didn't know us. They can just kind of give their feedback and experience on working with procurement. And I'm not going to lie, some of the responses are ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. I have obviously gone through these comments and had a look at them and kind of given some feedback, and just want to ask Luke if he's done the same.
Considering when we joined the call earlier, I said, "Oh, what's the episode about again today?" That kind of answers it.
Okay, well, maybe then we'll just get your raw opinion on these feedbacks. So
Authentic.
everybody who's kind of responded to my post has kind of gone to town a little bit, and we can just kind of react to that and see if you listeners agree with it, or if you think these guys are just absolutely unhinged. So just to kind of confirm, in the post I did say I'd like to stick my neck out on the line, asking for personal experience that you've had working with procurement professionals. I'm looking for honest input from project managers who might have negative or positive experiences working with procurement. Admin actually deleted the first post, and then I had to try again, but that really set the tone for the hostile nature of project management. Let's start with number one. Okay, this guy's name is do we protect Reddit names? I don't even know. It looks like his name is Pimp Daddy or something like that. Pimpy Daddy, something dodgy. He said, there should be a limit to the number of questions that procurement can ask. Number 1, is the bid competitive? 2, do you have the money? 3, are the terms competitive? If they ask anything else, they need to be told, it's none of your business.
Interesting. So this person's obviously a mushroom farmer, because they like to keep people in the dark.
That's right.
But if procurement can only ask 3 questions, how are we meant to add value?
Yeah, well, the frustrating bit is that that's kind of worded in a way that them as a PM will be doing all of the work. they will be collecting the pricing, they will be, reviewing the terms and signing the terms, and then all of a sudden procurement just come in and say, oh, do you mind just confirming if you've done your due diligence, please? And then the project manager says yes, and then us little box tickers just go, oh, fantastic, Mr. Project Manager, we're more than happy with that. Let's just sign that off then. And if we ask anything else, we need to be told it's none of your business. So we can't even ask what it is they're buying or want to buy. We can't ask, if there's sustainability considerations, if it's with an existing supplier, security checks, data protection. Now, don't worry about that. That's none of our business. Let's score this guy out of 10 for his understanding and enthusiasm towards procurement.
I'm going to say a 1 out of 10.
Okay. I mean, he knows that we use bid pricing and budget and competitive terms, but I think he's probably maybe a 2 or 3 on the understanding scale, but then a -1,000 on the attitude.
Yeah, and the engagement.
Okay. Number 2. This guy goes by the name Comfort and Speed. Exactly what we like from a project manager. He says, or she says, it's easier to do the work for them. You'll spend the same amount of energy escalating it when they don't do it.
I mean, Comfort and Speed lived up to the name, Comfort and Speed. Short, short, sharp, to the point, efficiency.
Yeah.
You'll spend the same amount of energy escalating when they don't do it.
Yeah.
It's the when they don't do it, which
guaranteed we're not doing our work.
It's just you've not even got a chance to do it. It's just straight away. Maybe Comfort and Speed is had a hard time with procurement professionals in the past.
It does feel like there's some trauma there.
Yeah, so would we like to invite Comfort and Speed onto the podcast to get some sort of proc therapy?
That sounds sus. Yeah, Comfort and Speed, if you do happen to be listening to a procurement podcast, and absolutely would be really bizarre because you seem to hate us, but if you are, get in touch. So what would you rate Comfort and Speed on procurement knowledge and understanding?
Well, it's hard to, when comparing it to the last one that got a 1 out of 10. I think this is probably worse because I haven't talked about any sort of budgetary or anything to do with budget, anything to do with terms, and it's the when they don't do it as well. So
do you know what also really fucks me off about this comment? Easier to do the work for them, which implies that this fella thinks he's actually a competent procurement professional already as part of his role. Do you see what I mean? It's gone easier to do the work for them. So you think that you have the skill set to do a better job than I do, doing it full time with qualifications and all of that good stuff. But no, don't worry, Comfort and Speed's here and he can do a better job.
Another thing to add to the similarities between procurement and refereeing, people who have never done it think that they can do a better job.
Yeah, we see things the refs can't see, obviously. Okay, no, that's fair enough. Let's move. Well, I'll give it a 0.5 out of 10.
Yeah, fair.
Let's go over to Giannini. Okay, lovely little name that, isn't it, Giannini? Giannini said, engage with procurement early in the process. Determine the role they will play. Follow their process. Don't expect much valuable participation from them, as they will likely not have capacity to understand your project needs. Just remember, don't ignore procurement thinking you can navigate around them, as they can be a blocker if you don't engage with them.
That was an absolute roller coaster of emotions.
It was, wasn't it?
It was going well. I've often heard things described as a shit sandwich, when you have some good and then some shit in the middle and then some more good on the end.
Yes.
Yeah, Giannini, I really like the early engagement with procurement, and even the setting out of roles at the start.
Yeah, what they want from us, right? Do they want us to do a full
Yeah.
tender? Do they want us just to highlight some suppliers, maybe agree some terms? What's the deal? I'm happy to accept that. Yeah.
And then don't
Then
expect
it goes-
much valuable participation. But this is the key bit for me, as they will likely not have capacity to understand your project needs. Is that mental capacity, as in, we just genuinely
brain
won't
dead
be able to
idiots.
compute? Yeah. Or is
Yeah.
that has she worked with busy people before who haven't had the kind of capability in terms of time?
I will defend her a little bit and say that with a lot of supporting functions, so you think finance, procurement, legal, more often than not, we are given wide remits to cover. We're expected to cover quite a significant part of our business, and actually capacity, especially if we're in a underfunded or underappreciated company, funding does usually mean that we don't have the capacity that would see us running at our maximum potential. However, don't expect much valuable participation. That stings a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know why I took that personally.
I think in terms of a score for this one, 5 out of 10.
Look, I'm
so far.
happy with I'm happy with a 5 or a 6. I think they clearly understand that they need to engage with procurement early. They've clearly been proc blocked before, and it's the kind of pragmatic approach that says their experience hasn't been that positive, really.
Yes, it seems like they've been burnt before, but they also have worked out that they need to change something going forward.
Okay, I'm going over to Meki 7 Meki. Okay. My heartburn with procurement has always been with the competitive bid process. They always want to lead the effort, but don't know squat about the scope of work. It would be my preference as the project manager to facilitate the whole bid, and once I've made a selection, they can issue the contract. But no, they want to handle it all, but they have to have the PM spoon feed all of the information to them. Just feels like double the work and a waste of one's time.
Okay.
See you nodding.
I think this is typical negativity Reddit. They sound like they've worked with procurement before, and although there's been some positives, they don't mention that. They mention the negatives. I think it would be my preference to facilitate the whole bid process. Well, I think with a lot of PMs, they have got a supplier that they've already worked with that they want to choose. So I can see that going wrong and the bid process being skewed in favour of one supplier.
100%.
Where if procurement own it and run that sort of bid process, you can keep the neutrality, assess things based on the specific requirements of your project, and then come to a final decision, which might be the supplier that you wanted, in air quotes, it to be.
Yeah.
But then at least you've got that information and you can make a informed decision.
Ooh, tell you what, that's some knowledge from you there. I don't know where you pulled that from, but yeah, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't do the podcast after lunch. We should do it while you're hungry. Yeah, I think this he's got some procurement experience. I do think some procurement professionals lack the technical knowledge. We're not necessarily expected to be the most technical people, and I think that can sometimes show, especially when we're trying to steer the conversation towards price. It's not always easy to negotiate when you don't know what you're negotiating for. But actually,
on that, are PMs technical people? I mean, they're definitely more technical than I am, but I see their main. Maybe this is my kind of perception of them to turn it around. I see PM people's main goal as organisation and planning.
Yes.
And sort of getting everyone on the right track rather than technical knowledge.
I mean, if you just go purely off the Reddit project managers, then they obviously all have technical knowledge and are clearly extremely competent. But I will put a disclaimer out there that the project managers I have worked with in my career so far, there have been some good ones, and there are those who do understand and kind of cooperate. So it's not all fun and games, right? 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, 3, 4 out of 10. Yeah, happy with that.
They missed out on something, or I think what Seven Meki is saying that kind of, or they've not yet experienced, is something that Seabelt addresses. So Seabelt says the short answer, and it is a short answer, is that procurement needs to be part of the project team, and the word "part" are in capital letters. So I like this comment quite a bit, and I actually responded back because I said, if you get us in nice and early, you include us, then we won't proc block you. To which I said, yeah, I've never understood people building project plans without involving participants, and without personal commitment from procurement, nothing actually happens. Yeah. Sounds fair.
And yeah, they look also in the comments to apply that not just to procurement but to all people in the project, which I thought was good. Shows that like finance, like legal, I think people see those as being able to add value, whereas traditionally they see procurement as a blocker. But
yeah,
if we were involved in the same time, in the same early stage as finance are, as legal are, then I think we could sort of turn that reputation, if you want to call it that, around.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a couple of other. Well, there's one gem that I'm saving till the end because it's ridiculous. But and you probably know which one that is. But stick around because that's great. Okay. Scrolling through. Okay. Let's have a look. Boom Volvo says, make procurement draft the RFP, have the techie folks fill the details in, provide a couple of vendors and make them find more. Basically, make procurement do their job. It should be up your alley to manage what vendor is selected. If used correctly and if they do their job, there should be less work for you and the tech team.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah, you kind of feel that?
Thanks. I'm gonna do, maybe selfishly, but I am gonna do the bare minimum for you.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be done, and then I'm gonna move on to the next project and, work with someone else that I enjoy their company.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? I mean, look, that's a proper shitty thing to say. Provide a couple of vendors and make them find more. All right, nice one.
I hope they phrase that in the request as well, like, here's our company A and company 59. Yeah. Go and find more.
Yeah, go and find more, because obviously you need to compare like more than 2 companies. So go and find some more. And ultimately pick one of the 2 I gave you. I'm going to give that one a 0, just because I don't like the vibe.
Really? I think you're being over harsh. You're marking them down based on emotion, I think.
I think I might be, yeah.
I think that's more of a 2 or a 3 for me.
Okay. Right. Let's move over to Brave District. Totally agree with a lot of the comments here, said Brave District. You need to understand and follow the rules for procurement. That being said, number 1, don't give procurement any more authority or sway in your project than what you have to. Otherwise, they will get you the cheapest, worst solution that meets the minimal requirements and call it a win because they saved a few pennies and put a lot of liability on the vendor. 2. Get involved and contribute as much as you can to the procurement process, scope of work, selection criteria, vendor Q&A responses, interviews, facilitate demos, whatever you can do to shape the progress within the rules and guidelines of procurement. Not bad. They are usually lazy anyway and will let you do the work. You are going to have to live with the results of this process every day for the rest of your project, not procurement, so own as much as you can. Brackets within the rules.
This is the opposite of the shit sandwich we had before. It's
yeah.
I mean,
it's a compliment sandwich.
Yeah, I would potentially disagree with what they say in the first point around getting the cheapest worst solution that meets minimal requirements, I would say that procurement people nowadays are more wise to that and will consider price and quality. I would think, in fact, it's more likely that if procurement wasn't involved, then the cheapest solution that meets minimal requirements would be chosen, because, who's picking it is maybe the budget holder who, that money's coming out of their pot exactly. So they've got a big eye on how much it costs. I like the part about getting involved and contributing to the process, especially the selection criteria. That is one thing that we can't do as procurement is, selection criteria, any of the technical stuff. And then it goes back to they're usually lazy anyway. But I do, to kind of flip it back again, I do sympathise with, you're going to have to live with the results of this process. Yeah. So, I don't know how it works in every company, but in a lot of companies, procurement get involved with the assessment and onboarding, set the contract up, pass it over to someone else, move on to the next set of contract. So, some companies do, life cycle management, and some don't. So, I do sympathise with the last point a little bit.
I do feel like there's an element of old school procurement to the first bit about buying the cheapest shit possible. But equally, we don't know how long this person's been in the game, right? And they could have had some bad experiences, and I totally actually kind of understand that. And then I also think, point two, apart from the laziness bit, but I can actually see how it might be perceived as laziness, asking for their input on things, but we're asking for their input as the subject matter expert, as opposed to the fact that we're lazy. So I, to be honest, they said within the rules and following the rules of procurement and understanding them, and I actually quite like this comment. I'm happy with a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I back that. A lazy 7 out of 10.
Yeah, lazy 7 out of 10. In fact, we should have asked them to do the scoring. Right, I think we're down to two. I think there's two left that I want to go through before we wrap up. We got a guy called HDR UK who works in an industrial company. Big fan of his procurement, as you can kind of see. He says, "I've rarely met a procurement professional that puts enough thought into how we will measure and manage the performance of a vendor after the contract is agreed. Too many just get it signed and move on, leaving something that either has no mechanism to measure the deliverables specified, or no mechanism to pressure or recover costs from the vendor when they fail to deliver adequately. Additionally, quite a lot seem to struggle differentiating between what responsibility is owned by the project and what their procurement function is responsible for. Too many try to fix problems that the project doesn't want fixing, costing time, which could be far more valuable to the project than whatever value the opportunity they thought they saw was worth. For example, when a replacement part needs urgent procurement and shipping to a site to enable a major contractual deliverable, I've seen procurement professionals spend a week getting 3 quotes and establishing which was better value to save the business a couple of £100. However, they delay the project, costing thousands of pounds a day. The project just wanted to go with whatever option could get the part ASAP and cost less than what they were losing due to the contractual delay."
So that last part is making me think that whatever interaction they've had with procurement is quite transactional.
Yes.
It's so, they're saying when a replacement part needs urgent procurement, that's, I'm not saying that that's the right action for a procurement person to have done in that situation, but there's plenty more that procurement can do than just, we need a screwdriver to fix this thing, so buy us a screwdriver.
Yeah, I think, we're not personal shoppers in that sense, and I think in an industrial, this chap references an industrial kind of workplace. You would think that they would do some sort of, like Kanban system or something like that, where they're ordering and when stock gets low, it just automatically orders from a preferred supplier. I
Yeah.
think if they are ordering parts that are major parts, they should be having a stock of these parts, maybe even a small stock, or having a preferred supplier relationship that kind of works for them. Which sounds like, to be honest, that does sound like a bit of a procurement failure in that sense, but also maybe a business failure because they're not putting the emphasis on kind of what their parts are. The bit around kind of KPIs and performance measurement was interesting because personally, when trying to agree contracts with suppliers, quite often the business can't actually give me KPIs. They can't tell me what looks like a good performance measure, what kind of the stick should be and what kind of carrots it could be. They're always like, well, now we'll worry about that in the statement of work level or another day. And actually, we don't get that progressed in the way we probably should. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would partly agree with you. I think I've seen it sometimes that people, all they want to do is, well, actually, let me start from the start. So they don't involve procurement early enough in the process to talk about these kind of things. So at that stage, it's like, what's the sort of minimum detail we need to get to put into a statement of work, into a contract, so we can get this signed before X date. If we were involved earlier, which we keep saying, we could have more of an input about, okay, so we want to include certain KPIs around, I don't know, delivery of something has to be, well, actually, no, let me choose service outage. So, we have to have the service running for 99.5% of the working day.
Yeah.
If you go above if you go below 10%, then it's a amber. If you go 20% below, then it's a red. Obviously that takes time. And where was I going with this again? I've forgotten where I was going with it.
Well, I think how do we determine what is acceptable, right? So if we're 10% below on that and it's down, I don't know, for 3 days in a week, and we're clearly going to get some sort of reimbursement under the contract, but how do we know that the amount of money we're losing from the service being down is equal to or less than what we're getting back from the supplier that's caused it?
Yeah, I guess that's when you'd need involvement from sort of well, if you're running that as a contract for a customer, you would need people who deal with the client contract or customer contract to tell you, okay, if this part of, if our service is down for this time, this is how much we're going to have to repay that customer. So then let's flow down that exact term to the supplier.
Exact requirements, yeah. Okay, no, that's fair. I mean, what do you want to give this guy as a score?
I mean, we did ask for honest input. He's given honest input, and he's conveyed it in what I think is quite a fair way. So 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. 6, 7. Right, I think. Do you know who the last one is? Have you got a feeling?
I think I do. I think I know who you mean.
Well, full credit to this guy for having the lack of brain cells in this response. Let's get into it. So it's a guy called or a lady called SV Auspicious, who says, and to be clear, I replied to this person and then they've come back a few more times, so I do need to get into the kind of highlights of what they've said to really understand how well this person knows us.
It is a long message.
I think the word stakeholder is overused. Procurement isn't a stakeholder. They are employees who work for me. They do what I tell them to do. Buy stuff for delivery on schedule to the budget that they help to develop. It doesn't matter if they're buying tons of steel, for a warship or pencils for the supply closet. Okay, that was their first sort of vibe, and I said,
well,
interesting approach. And
personally, I wouldn't want to mix steel and pencils up. But warship steel. I wouldn't want to build a warship out of pencils. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to guess what country this person's from, but if I see a giant floating pencil, I'm sure they've got something to do with it. So I kind of just went back. I felt like that person had a bit more to say, so I kind of said, well, that's an interesting approach. In the sort of space I work, it's slightly different in that we don't work for the project manager. You know, we're a supporting function that brings unbiased knowledge to the project team, right? So, like you said earlier, making kind of informed decisions that are unbiased and kind of perceived best practice. I don't want to read into the details about it. What do you think? Should I read in details about the example? I mean, what are the key headlines? It's a long message. A procurement worker who pushes back on a properly executed purchase order for a part number on the basis of alignment of program goals and company strategic goals is not going to last very long. I don't track individual POs, but I sure know what the response times are of support organisations, even if they are overhead who don't work for me. I'll call my peer in their management chain, and the world will fall on their head. Brilliant. Nice. I've had a vendor suffer a flood and a lightning strike during a hurricane that put a real crimp in both cost and schedule. I heard from the vendor first, but my purchasing was right on their heels. Lots of work by purchasing. Stuff does happen. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Don't mind that bit.
If one of my project managers, you know the difference between projects and programs, right? In brackets. Or someone in the PMO team tells me delivery of stuff is risking performance because some procurement specialist is talking about goal alignment and someone is going to learn how to say, would you like fries with that? You'll be spending a lot of time on your feet. So I recommend Red Wing 6705 or 6706, depending on your colour preference. I don't know what the fuck that means, but brilliant.
Is it a shoe?
Maybe. Yeah, the new Nike Red Wings. Now, if you want to tell me that our supply closets are seeing an unusual amount of turnover, or that you have a really good deal on 0.3mm HB leads instead of H, we can talk, especially if supplies are overhead and not direct. If we give you a PO for a specific part and you can save half with a sub and go back to a tech proof of concept and ask if it will work, that's great. If you have a track record of being wrong and costing us weeks in supply chain, then you're toast. I take every single firing as a personal failure. That doesn't slow me down when it is the right thing to do though. More often than not, the Peter principle applies, so someone, sometimes me, made a hiring or promotion mistake. And he gave us some homework, mate. Look up strategy, look up tactics, read your job description, read the fine print on your in-house PO forms. Look up just-in-time procurement for big stuff. Take a course in operations management at your local community college. Go talk to the kitchen manager at your favourite restaurant.
He says it's often better to buy something suboptimal that will deliver on time than save 2% and be late. So could I apply that to, it's better to agree to contract terms quickly, supplier terms that you haven't properly reviewed, than to properly review them and be late, therefore opening up your project and your company to any number of potential liabilities.
Let me give an example on that as well. Let's say you're building a rail track. Shout out to the French and Spanish duck up. Right, you're building a railway track, and this guy's your project manager, and he says, buy this. And I've looked at it and I've gone, okay, yeah, no worries. It doesn't seem to be the optimal track, but we're going to do some due diligence. It might add time to the scale. And he's like, don't care. It's better to buy this than it is, waste any more time on this project. Crack on with it, or I'm going to fire you. Okay, yes, boss, right? So we're buying the rails, the cross rails, the bits that go across the track. and they're suboptimal because they're 0.1 millimeter out, right, in terms of their length. Now, what happens when you buy multiple of those? Well, that 0.1 millimeter becomes 0.2 millimeters out, becomes 0.4 millimeters out, becomes... And eventually you've got a track that's too wide or too narrow for your train.
There's a perfect example actually for that. Good connection to the other episode. I do like when he says, where was it? Oh yeah. So I do like the part where he says, I'll call my peer in their management chain and the world will fall on their head.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm wondering how many peers in different management chains he has left if he's dropping
worlds on their heads.
Dropping worlds on people's different heads just because they're taking 5 minutes longer to approve a PO. Yeah, I mean, you can tell this guy gets stuff done.
Yeah, well, whether he gets it done well or not, I don't know, but he gets stuff done. You know, his customer wanted a Rolls Royce, but he built them a Ford because that's a suboptimal thing he could do in time, right? No, it was clear, like, jokes aside, it was clear this guy's got some interesting experience working, well, not working with procurement, having procurement work for him, apparently. I wouldn't want to work in that organisation with that kind of attitude, but I guess there are companies out there like that.
I would like to know what his definition of stakeholder is, if it doesn't include an employee who works for him.
Yeah, I might send him a link to the stakeholder. What is stakeholder episode? What do you reckon?
Yeah, do it. I mean, I think this is potentially a guy who will listen to every episode just to point out each individual flaw that you know, or error that we make.
Well, I did hear a rumour that he listens to podcasts on 4 times speed, just because it needs to be done on time. And it doesn't matter if he doesn't get all the details, because obviously he's done it on time.
Yeah, speed is what matters most.
Yeah, bring back comfort and speed. He's the real OG. So that kind of sums up some of the responses. That's not all of them, but they're the kind of ones I thought were worth discussing today. What's your kind of overall take on that? I mean, from my side, it's a pretty negative picture from the project management side.
Yeah, although I do think Reddit in general is quite overly negative. There are people that said some good things in there, and there obviously are things that we could do to improve. We're definitely not perfect by any means. I liked the one, who was it? Janini, who said engage a procurement early in the process, even if she doesn't necessarily, I'm assuming it's a she, believe in, you know, or the reason that they're doing it is so that we don't become a blocker later in the process. That's still overall a positive and contributing to the right outcome overall. So
yeah,
take that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would hazard a guess that some of these people have been around quite a while. Sorry, some of these people have been around quite a while, and actually, they probably had bad experiences with old school procurement professionals who, you know, maybe do have a different attitude to the kind of role. But you will see us having a conversation with some air quote old school procurement professionals in one of the upcoming episodes. So it'll be interesting to see what their take on this is. But yeah, overall, I mean, look, I can see all these people that have come back with their digs. You can kind of see where they're coming from. You can understand why perhaps some of these procurement professionals have fallen short. And we can take some learnings from it. And I think if you did find value in this episode, let us know, and we can maybe we can do some more digging and get some, I don't know, finance managers or legal contacts or someone else to kind of, or maybe even suppliers to kind of give us their insights on their experiences with procurement.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth saying that although we've laughed at these people, we appreciate their input, I suppose it's always good to get feedback, especially if that feedback's negative, and to kind of assess it and think about how you personally or we personally could be better. I don't think this generally reflects the kind of mindset of most PMs that you work with day to day.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that, the people that are going to take the time and put the effort in to write comments on the internet, on a project management forum on Reddit, are going to probably be the ones that, have stronger
They're going to
opinions.
be characters.
Exactly, yeah. They're going to have stronger opinions. So
that being said, though, they are out there. They are project managers. They do exist. So they're somewhere out there. Us procurement professionals are dealing with people like that. So, have to bear that in mind.
Yeah. Well, we hope this has been educational. And we hope we haven't burnt any bridges with PMs moving forward. I think the summary is, we can add value, but we want to be involved earlier and want to be used by railways in the right way.
Yeah, and we are a supporting function. We're not subordinates. We can deliver value, but I think we as a function have some challenges ahead to kind of improve our reputation over time, and I think that's what SIPS is trying to do. And that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Well, do you want to do the thing we kind of stopped doing? To the second half of season 1. Send it to someone. Yeah,
if you made it this far, thank you first. I guess send this to someone
who is a project manager.
Or would make a good project manager. Or send it to someone whose breath stinks. See you later.
See you later.